It didn't feel like I was being recruited. I'm coming from a different background with a business mindset. Like I could crush this. What is this? Is it a pyramid scheme? I just love people and love talking to people. I learned that we all love to talk about ourselves. Business was about serving others. I quickly understood that having started in that industry was also about what can I do for you? Tell me about you and what are you looking for? That I think was what really helped me catapult my network. Our biggest product, it was bras. You can wear a $10 shirt and you can wear a $210 shirt. If you don't have on the proper undergarments underneath it, it doesn't matter. Perfection has lost its game. It's the matter of showing up in the good, the bad, and the ugly to say, here, this is who I am. There's nothing you can do to control the outcome. Nothing. You can only control the conversation, what you're putting into it, what you're saying. It's kind of a why not a why. Because when you're taking products that you love every day and you're getting paid at them twice, sometimes three times more percentage than you are from another product line, it's why not?
Hey network marketers, if you want to know what sets the top leaders apart in this business, you've come to the right spot. We are a sales and marketing agency working with the best in the business. And in our podcast, we are diving deep into their secrets. From mindset to recruitment to onboarding like pros, we're here to show you how they do it. Plus, we've got actionable steps you can use to rise to the top, no matter where you are in your journey. Get ready to level up and dominate. Welcome to the MLM Duplication Podcast. Hi everyone, welcome to the MLM Duplication Podcast. Today with us we have wonderful Erin Lopez. Erin is a wife, mom, author of Amazon best-selling book called I Decide, and a co-host of the I Decide Darlings podcast. After 25 years in the fashion industry as a model and later as a modeling agent in Chicago, Erin shifted gears to focus on raising her family. But her passion for work didn't fade. She found a way to balance it all by diving into direct sales and building a business on her own terms. Now, Erin helps other women do the same, showing that with a little grit and a lot of heart, you can create a life you love. Erin, welcome to the MLM Duplication Podcast. We're so happy to have you here with us.
I'm so happy to be with you two today. Thanks for having me.
Let's start off by this, and every guest we ask the same question: how was your beginning in network marketing? Who recruited you? Like, did you know about the stigma around MLM and network marketing, or you didn't know that before joining?
So I love this question. My story is a little bit different because I really didn't know much about network marketing other than the bad stuff. And I was very, as I say now, I was uneducated in terms of the industry. So I kind of fell into it because, like you mentioned, like I had a 9-to-5 job. I was working my career in the fashion industry. There was a company that came out that had to do with fashion, and it was network marketing. I just didn't really know it. And they had requested the help of mine, and at the time, my business partner, of kind of just helping them. Like, what did we think about the product line that they had? And, could we help them, just kind of give them our expertise on it? It didn't feel like I was being recruited because I don't think I was at the time. But so I just, got into it and started helping and, loved the product at the time. And then quickly saw what they were doing. Like, oh, they were going into at the time, were going into the homes of these women and they were presenting this, beautiful product line in the fashion industry, and they were making money. And then he was interested in doing it. And then this mom was making money. And I kind of saw the trickle effect of it. And the business side of my brain just kind of, the light bulb started going off of, wow, if these women are doing this and they really don't know what they're doing, and I'm coming from a different background with a business mindset, like I could crush this. And so, really quickly I decided, maybe I should look into this. But again, like I had the hangups of, what is this? Is it a pyramid scheme? So mine, I like to say I am the never say never girl, because I said I would never do something like this. And when it happened organically and naturally and just kind of felt like it was already part of what I was doing, then it turned, I don't want to say quickly because everything is a journey, but it started to quickly turn into like a business. And then it just snowballed from there.
And was it with the current company or was it with some other company before?
It was a different company. Yeah. So it was a different company. And there was only 5 of us that were quote unquote founders of this company. And we kind of hit the pinnacle of it. I was definitely more educated on the industry at that point. And I had friends, Lisa being one of them, who worked in the industry as well. I just saw them doing what they were doing. And then Lisa recruited me over to, well, she did try to get me to come to her company a couple times and it just was not a good fit for me. And so we were just friends. And then when she left to go to the current company we're both at, I was like, all right, game on. It's time to make a move.
What was the thing that you saw those ladies when you say, I can crush it with my knowledge that they were doing maybe
Mhm.
wrong, or what you thought, okay, this is my opportunity to implement stuff that I
Mhm.
already know. So what were those things?
I don't think anyone's ever doing anything wrong. Like I like to say that this industry is for some-timers, part-timers, and full-timers. And
Mhm.
so, I saw women coming in and just having their friends over and like opening up a bottle of wine and talking about this clothing. And, people would go home with it or they'd place orders because it was so social. And they didn't really care about maybe the business side of things. It was more so the social side of, it was a time when we all had young kids too. So it was like, take off your sweatpants, put on some clothes and have a glass of wine. And I just went home buying a bunch of stuff. And they weren't doing wrong. They were doing what fit for them. Where I felt like, if I did this and I put some marketing behind it and I really turned this into like treated it like a business, then I could really make something out of this without having to go like get a job.
What were the first steps for you when you started? It was the fashion, right? So what you implemented in your process of building your network?
Um, in terms of building my network, I feel like I've always had a good network because I just love people and love talking to people and always make sure that I'm growing, in terms of just life. But I think it was a matter of really recognizing that in order to be successful, like I was becoming a product of the product. So, it wasn't something I'd always had the mindset of I don't want to ever want to sell anything, but I want to be something. So I think it was a matter of always growing my network. You also go through seasons of your life. Like I had my friends that were moms, and then I had my friends that were in business, and then I had my friends that were in fashion, and then I had my friends, and then I had my husband's friends, like all of those different things. And so the network was always growing. I think it was just a matter of like how you were talking to them and asking questions. And so the more I got deeper into business, I realized this is about me, this is about them. And so I learned that we all love to talk about ourselves, hence we love podcasts. Um, but this business was about serving others. And so I quickly understood that having started in that industry with the fashion, this was also about what can I do for you? And like, tell me about you and what are you looking for? And so that I think was what really helped me catapult my network and my products and like put them together.
What would you say now when you compare like the current company where you have these amazing beauty products and the fashion, how different it is to recruit someone when it's like different product? Do you think it plays a role? If yes, why
Uh,
yes? And if not, why not?
100%. And this is a huge reason why I made the switch from being very successful in a fashion company that you would think, why would I ever leave that? Because that's really in my blood who I am. I quickly realized from a business perspective that one, these were only products for women. And at the time, our biggest sellers, you guys I don't think we've ever talked about this. Our biggest product, it was bras. And so, I mean, I can sell the heck out of a bra because, in the fashion industry, you can wear a $10 shirt and you can wear a $210 shirt. If you don't have on the proper undergarments underneath it, it doesn't matter. So that was my niche market. And we had other items too, like, other clothing items, but that was the big seller, was bras. And so, and again, crushed it. But what I quickly realized working in this industry and educating myself of the industry, in order to have sustainable long-term residual income, it, for me, it needed to be ingestible. So it needed to be something that somebody was ordering every month and taking every, a reorder rate. And so real quickly, I realized that if I did move companies, again, nerdy part of me, what's their reorder rate? What are their percentages? How many people are staying customers? But then also it was, I can only serve so many people if I'm only serving women. And so once you get married and you have kids and everything, I wanted to have products that my husband could take, my kids could take, and I could talk about. So for me, it was leaving a company that was women-based, for women, fashion, going to a company that was overall wellness for men, women, kids of all ages, all sizes, all shapes, and an ingestible supplement.
And then you switch to this company where you're currently in, like, for how many years, and you're very successful in it. And you there implemented one strategy that I would say very few network marketers first know how to do, second thought about doing it, because it takes a lot of, I think, connections, know-how and everything. And that's working with influencers, where you kind of like have this magnitude of like network marketing in connection with affiliate. Can you speak about when did you recognize that this is the right strategy, and how was in the beginning for you implementing that?
Yeah, I think for me, it's always been how to think outside the box. And again, I think it's part of my personality too. Like if everybody's doing it this way, how can I do it a little bit differently? And I think having at one point too, I mean, I had a blog. I don't ever want to say I was an influencer because I wasn't, but I had a blog, I had a business, I was working with celebrities, working still in the fashion industry. And so my network was growing. And you saw all these creators and influencers. And at the time, it was really like blogs, and then it morphed into Instagram. And so in my head, I kept thinking, there's something to that. I mean, I personally watching these men and women all over social media, looking to see what they're doing, which direction they're going, what products they're using. So again, it was outside of the network marketing norm. But I kept thinking this will be fun, and I do think fun is a huge factor when it comes to this industry, like period. And in our lives, if we're having more fun in our job, then we're going to do better. So for me, it was like marrying the two of like, I loved the blogging world. I loved the creators. I loved the influencers. And I also loved my business over here. How can I marry the two? And then it's such an the ball started rolling, that then once one person fell in love with these products that I was representing, which you can't not, then they were talking all about it. And then it just kind of snowballed. So, I've always kind of taken a different route than the typical network marketer. And I think that's what has kept me in the game and having fun, because it's forever changing.
Can you speak about influencers? How hard it is to work with them? What are some pros and cons, and how do you lead them? And how do you sell them this idea?
So it's funny because they have the same mindset that I had of network marketing and the industry itself. So I take a completely different approach to it. I mean, they're affiliates. They want to promote products across the board. So whether it be the pair of shoes that they're wearing or the product that I'm representing, I want them to think about it the same way. So I do think I had a little bit of an upper hand because I came from that world with affiliates. I knew how to talk their language. I knew how to talk. I do know how to talk their language and the commission rates and when they're getting paid, and the commission split, because having been an agent myself. So I think it helped because I could really speak their language real quickly. And I'm not one to oversell things. So I think it was, I could tell real quickly, like whether or not they wanted to do this or not. So then I just kept it very simple. Perfect. I'll get you an affiliate link. I'll get you all set up. You're good to go. Done. And it became more similar to what they were doing with other brands versus me trying to sell them on it because we are network marketing.
What's the biggest challenge with working with them, especially when they start off, because they have so many products that they are promoting?
Consistency, and I think the ones that do very well, and there are many that do very well, they are super consistent. And I think when you're promoting an ingestible supplement, I've learned so many things from them as well, that it's the consistency that wins. And one of them described it to me one time as, their stories on Instagram or TikTok, or usually Instagram, their stories are like commercials. And we all know that we have to see something an average of 11 to 17 times before we like pull the trigger. That they have this mentality of they don't care. Like you can see it. And if you see their story again, you can just real quickly click through it. And it's like watching a commercial on the TV. You don't get mad and turn on the TV. You just kind of fast forward through the commercial to get to where you're going. So I think for the influencers and creators that we have worked with, that they want to post it once or twice or even 3 times and expect to, make great money, it doesn't work that way. And so again, I've been able to say, give them that education as well, just to say, this is a long-term. 3 months is the sweet spot. And that's kind of my lingo too with them. And again, I want this to be long-term income for them too. So it behooves me to give them the education and the knowledge between what has worked and what hasn't worked to set their expectations.
And would you say it's the same as you recruit regular people who are not influencers, and in the beginning, they have to earn $1 at least to see that it's working? Have you noticed the same pattern with influencers as well?
Yes, yes and no. I mean, I think some of them understand, some of them, the beauty of our business model is you do get paid, which I like to equivalent of like Pavlov's rule. So, when they post something and then they're getting ding, 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 that their phone is blowing up because they got a new customer or they're getting paid immediately. Of course, it turns off something in their mind to think, well, I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do it again. Versus they post something for, let's say, another brand, and they don't know because they're not getting immediately paid and or notified. And they usually have to wait 30, 60, 90 days to see if I returned the shoes or not that I just purchased from them. So yeah, I think they're noticing that too. But yes, with any of us, versus if it's, my neighbor down the street that's joining the business versus an influencer or creator, if they can earn $1, there's a 70% chance more that they're going to stick with it.
Have you seen some patterns about influencers like who are performing well to those who are not performing? Like what makes them different to the ones that are not succeeding?
I think from my perspective, it's the trust factor that they've gained with their followers. And you can tell that really just, if you or I were to go on their page and really just see what they're doing, I think you can tell real quickly. And I think you can also tell real quickly, like no shame here, but for those that are just selling a lot of products, because I mean, they're getting their hustle on. And I have mad respect for creators and influencers because it is much harder than the outsider thinks. And I think so much work goes into what they're doing. There's photographers involved, there's editing involved. I mean, you guys know. And so we being, the person on the other side of the phone, just clicking through, we don't really think much of it. But, I also, like I said, I have mad respect for all of them. And it's the ones who sometimes even have like a smaller niche market that, let's just say it's all about skincare. It's all about beauty, and their audience, they follow them for that. And so when they're able to promote a product of mine that falls in line with that, it feels natural. versus they're all of a sudden talking about a cup, or something. I've worked with some creators who have, 100,000 followers, which is a lot. And I've worked with some that have 1 million followers, which is a lot. And the ROI or the sales difference between the two have been night and day. And you would think that it was the $1 million or the 1 million person follower that would have higher sales. It was actually the 100,000, because they had a smaller audience that jumped the second they said something. And I think it was because they had more of like a friendship trust relationship with their followers and their audience.
And what builds that trust? Like as an influencer, when someone wants to search for an influencer to work with, who do they should search for, and how that influencer gets the trust of an audience?
That's such a good question, because I feel like I have to ask myself this too after watching them and with my own business. I think it's consistency. I think it's not showing up whenever you want, because it's a conversation, you're having with your audience, and you can't leave that conversation hanging. So, if I go online and I'm talking about, my favorite product that I love that's taken years off of my face, and I feel better and I look younger, and then I don't talk about it for a month or even a couple of weeks, like, I feel like you're losing that trust. And again, I think we have this stigma that, oh, well, I'm talking about too much, or I'm pushing a product on somebody. Like, I like to think about it like, my kids. I mean, I talk about them all the time. I love them, and it's kind of the same thing. So I think it's that trust factor, but it's also about being vulnerable and real. And, perfection has lost its game. And I think that it's the matter of showing up in the good, the bad, and the ugly, to say, here, this is who I am. And I think the ones that I've seen, and myself as well, like really dive in, it's because they're getting to know you, like what I like to call behind the scenes. Like, we can sit here and put on makeup and do a podcast and do a photo shoot and look perfectly amazing. But it's the behind the scenes of, this is what I look like when I wake up, or today's a crappy day, or all of those things so when you do talk about a product, or you're talking about an affiliate product or something, it's woven in your life. And it's not just pushing a product. It's, this is my life. This is what I do. Oh, and I love this. And I also love my kids. And I also made this for dinner. And so I think that's the trust factor that comes along, of not just the commercial all the time. You feel like you're friends with these people. Like, I literally think you could ask anybody about, like, people that they follow, that they really follow, and they probably feel like they're friends with them, and they've never met them before, nor talked to them.
What is it in there for influencers? Like, why do you think they're going for this type of model instead of doing affiliate programs or maybe brand deals? Like, what you notice that it's the main motivation for them?
Why they say yes?
To me, they're going to say yes because for various reasons. The product line alone, I mean, like, put products aside, like, the products will sell themselves. When you can find a good product that has the reorder rate that we do, that's hard to find. Also, when you come into line with the percentage rates, that's huge. I mean, people who really understand the affiliate world and know that it's usually between 7 and 13% paid out in 30 to 60 to 90 days. That's great, what they're used to. But when you can present them something that's paying between 20 and 36%, and they're getting paid daily, and they're ingestible supplements that have an 86% reorder rate, and by the way, you fall in love with the products yourself, it's kind of, in my opinion, it's a home run. Like, I have a motto with everyone that I say, it's kind of a why not, because when you're taking products that you love every day and you're getting paid at them twice, sometimes 3 times more percentage than you are from another product line, it's why not?
Yeah, it's amazing. When we were thinking about that, for many of them, if they want to create their own brand, their own label, for example, again, they will have this type of margin, when they take into the consideration the costs of the production, of the shipment, all that stuff. they still get this type of commissions. And also what we notice working with influencers is that many of them have like 50, 60, 100 brand deals. That is just too much, and then you're losing this trust that you want to build. And in order to build trust, as you said, you need to be consistent to achieve that.
And would that be your advice to young network marketers? Because everyone has to be on social media, so it's kind of like how to put yourself out there. What content they should put out there? What would you suggest them?
To somebody be like recruiting, or somebody themselves doing it?
Themselves. Like, for example, I'm a network marketer just starting, and I understand that I have to be on the social media, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. I can start posting. What should I post?
Their life, and again, I say this because I'm talking to my own self. Like, it is a matter, like, what are you doing getting ready in the morning? What are you doing, on the car ride with the kids in the, to school? What's in your drink right now? Like it's the little things that people care about. And I think I'm the first to say, nobody cares about that. Why does somebody want to know what I'm drinking right now? But that's what people want to know about. They want to know that I'm drinking that because it gets rid of my mom fog and it gives me energy for the day and it's speeding up my metabolism. Like, if you think about it that way, then it's like, why wouldn't I tell people what I'm doing? Like, you can't show up every other day and expect for people to fall in love with you and or gain trust, and showing up on social media is like showing up for your 9-to-5 job, if that's what you're trying to go down. So I love to teach people, you can show up, and as much as you show up, it's how much you get rewarded and paid for. So if you show up at your office every other day, that's the amount of money you're probably going to get paid, and you're probably going to get fired, So, but again, this is our own job, and you get to make of it what you want, sometimes part-time or full-time. And if you want to show up on social media full-time, you'll get paid eventually like a full-timer.
Yeah, completely agree. And how do you now lead those influencers that you have? You have a big team of influencers. How do you lead them? Do you lead them in the same way that you lead the regular network marketers, or how do you have to deal with them?
No. And I think that there's beauty to that. And there's, it's just different. They're used to this. They know what to do. And I think that's where my love for working with creators and influencers comes in, because that's my mentality of working smarter, not harder. Just like they know how to post about their top and their shoes and their everything, this is no different to them. So I don't have to, quote unquote, hold their hand. I'm there to support them. And usually in the beginning, it's for educational questions. What's in the product? I just got this question. I always say, I'm your ears and everything that you need in the beginning to help you with all of the questions and what have you. And eventually you're probably not going to need me anymore, but I'm always here for you. So I love that part of it, because again, I don't want to say it's easier. It's just different because they know what to do, versus somebody else, breaking into the network marketing industry. It's different. It's new. And I always say to them, like, you're going to become my best friend for the next 3 months, because I'll teach you everything you need to know. But the goal is you're not going to need me forever, because that's not the way business works. And then you're hopefully going to befriend other people who want to get into this business, teach them everything they need to know, and it's a ripple effect. Otherwise, I think where we fail sometimes in this industry and in this space is always kind of holding over the people that you bring in and not wanting them to expand and not wanting them to like spread their wings and fly. Otherwise, I feel like it's like your kids, that you're not teaching them to do their job. You're holding over them, so you're in control, versus giving them everything they need to know so you can build your wings and fly.
I remember, and I liked when you said to us, we had some conversation, and you said that when we were speaking about influencers, you said they need us more than we need them. And this is very interesting statement, because many people believe that influencers are, these big earners, and actually it's not like that. But you have in your team influencers who are like six figures per month earners,
Mhm.
so it's a huge deal for them, and not many influencers even realize the potential in network marketing.
100%. And I wish more of them would, because they are never going to make six figures monthly from a brand collaboration. They would all go out of business. So when you take more of the selling control into your own hands, the sky is the limit. They can make a couple grand a month if they want, or they can make six figures monthly, but it's up to them. And so I think that I wish, when you find like I said, it's me, it's the perfect marriage of the products and the commission structure, and it's something that you love and you can naturally talk about. Why wouldn't you make six figures monthly? And again, instead of having to like hire a photographer, put on your makeup, do all these things, they're literally like usually standing in their kitchen with no makeup on, walking over to their refrigerator, talking about something that they love, and then boom, 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 they're seeing that Pavlov's rule.
That's amazing for them. And it's a dream job, right, Erin, to be in the kitchen without the makeup, getting getting those
Yeah.
notifications.
It's a dream job, and in the sense too that I wish people like I said, respect for influencers and creators, and they're also normal human beings. They're also the mom raising a family, and she's building a brand and a business around her. And I think that people need to realize more that that they're just normal human beings too. And I've loved getting to work with so many of them, because they've become really great friends of mine too. And they are just doing what the rest of us are doing. They're just putting themselves out there on the camera and in front of everybody all of the time. And like I said, they've taught me more than I think I've ever taught them working with them, because of how hard they work and how they're running their business, and all of the work that goes into it. And like I said, even like, don't stress about, posting again and again and again. Like, people just push forward. They're not mad. They're not turning the TV off. So I think it's just a matter of realizing that they're just like us. Sometimes they're just working a little bit harder.
Yeah. And when you look back now, what are some of the mistakes that you think you did that you would do differently, maybe, and what have you learned from them?
Um, I mean, mistakes has always have I think for all of us, I'm no different, that mistakes are getting in our own way, or, oh, I'm not going to reach out to that person because they're never going to respond to me. Or, I think it's just the doubt of, I've always been pretty confident in knowing that, oh, I could turn this into something really big, or I can help this person. But I think it's my mindset. I mean, let's be honest, the older you get, the wiser you get. The longer you're in the business, the more you learn too. That's where that term that you said, that they need us more than we need them. Part of that, I think it's a mentality, that if I have that going into talking to somebody, I think in my head, they do need me. They need me more than I need them, because I'm not making six figures monthly. They are. So how can I help them make six figures monthly? And so you asked about mistakes. Those are mistakes of thinking, oh, I'm not worthy of reaching out to this, or I'm not even worthy of having creators, and influencers in my business. Of course, we all are. It's just a matter of educating ourselves and having the right conversations, uh, and it's not for everybody either.
And that's interesting. You said that you were thinking that you are not worthy, and you are generally like self-confident person coming from fashion industry. Isn't that interesting that even you had that self-doubt about?
How you overcame those self-doubts? Like, what were the process? Do you have some process to just boosting yourself and the confidence?
Yeah, and again, that's what I think people don't talk about. Like, I don't think people talk about you only see like, not many of us can open up about the conversation of like, why would I deserve that? Like, again, I got into this industry knowing nothing. Why would I be successful? All of these people have been in this industry for twice as long, 3 times as long as me. Why do I think that I could perform like they could? Well, we all have the equal opportunity. It's just a matter of what are you going to do about it? And for me, it was thinking outside the box, because always wanting this to be fun. Um, I think it was just a matter of, we've talked about this before, faith it till you make it. I've always known that I'm not a big fan of the fake it till you make it. But I am a fan of faith it till you make it. I mean, and I think it was knowing that if I was about to have a conversation with somebody that I thought would be amazing in this business, I had to remove the outcome of the conversation from my brain because it was either meant to be or it wasn't meant to be. And so I think my lack of self confidence came from, if I got off the phone and that didn't go the way that I wanted, I was crushed, or like I didn't do something right, or it was my fault, or I was wrong, versus finding the faith in myself and in my business to know that, I can have as many conversations as I want, but it's already predetermined whether or not this is going to work out or not. And so the faith was leading in terms of not only in the whole, like, you need me more than I need you, but if this is going to work, if this is supposed to work out, it's going to work out because we're going to be in alignment. So I think that took time, because again, I've been doing this a while, but that took time too, to understand the confidence in there's nothing you can do to control the outcome. Nothing. You can only control the conversation, what you're putting into it, what you're saying, what they decide, and their result. There's nothing I can do. All I can do is put my best foot forward and put my faith in someone else, and then it's up to them.
It's an interesting advice. Just put the effort, then let it go, basically, and let it plays out how it plays out. What would you say, Erin, is your biggest, like, where you felt like super proud of yourself?
I mean, I'll never forget a moment, like, we all have pinnacles, hopefully everybody sets goals for themselves of where they, want to hit. And again, hopefully that's always growing. But, I had set a very large goal for myself. And, again, one that, can I do it? Like, I don't know, but faith until you make it, like, I'll get there. And then when I hit it, I mean, I could cry now thinking about it. I mean, I just seen that number turn over, and then knowing that, like, I did it, we did it, and, my husband, he knew, because I literally was like on the ground, on my knees, like, it just happened, and like, he was so excited, and I think there was tears involved, like, now. And and then my girls knew, because this is a family business, I mean, when mommy's working hard, and when mommy's on calls sometimes, and there's a reason behind it, and it's because trying to hit the goal, or we want to take you on a trip, or whatever it is. And so that moment of hitting that really monumental goal, gosh, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, that's why we do this, is to get the chills and to hit goals. And then we did it, and we celebrated, and then I'm like, okay, what's next? Like, you hit the next goal. But I say that in, like, that was a big win, right? That was a big win. And I think we forget to celebrate the small wins too, and I think that we, as in entrepreneurs and network marketers, have to remember they all matter, the small wins and the big wins. But it's the big wins that, you set big goals for yourself, and then, you get the tears, you get the chills, and then you know that all of the work is worth it.
Can you speak about the family support? I don't know, like, when you started network marketing, were you with Tony back then, or with your husband? And how was he supportive, and your family, because being a young mom doing this can you speak about that?
Yeah, we definitely were together. When I first started, it was a lot of home party based, or, taking products. And I mean, we live in a different house now, but like, I had product everywhere. I mean, I had racks of clothing and boxes of bras. I mean, you name it. Like it was, you're stepping over it. And then, a lot of people get into this business for the social aspect, because you're buried in babies and all of the amazingness, but you're doing it to kind of like escape a little bit and get out of the house. Well, then the more and more successful I became, the more and more I was out of the house, and the more the piles of stuff grew. And so he's always been 1000% supportive. And there was a little bit of like, we did this, to keep you home from not having to get, a 9 to 5 job. And now you're gone all the time, So I think from that perspective, he's always been supportive. And we both learned really quickly together what was going to work and what wasn't going to work. And when we made the big change to switch companies, it was an us decision because I wanted him to be a part of the business as well. And, he's a very smart, successful businessman. And so his knowledge came into play of, let's think about this long term, let's think about making, a decision that you're not jumping companies, that the ROI is in longevity, the sustainability is there, the background of the business is there, the morals and values align with us as a family. So for us, it was always more of a big picture, not just a quick sell to earn money. So no, I mean, and my kids, I mean, my goodness, they were, well, figure they were probably 3 and 5, 4 and 6-ish maybe. And now they're in high school, So I mean, it's all they've ever known. And there's nothing more rewarding when I see, my girls talking to somebody else of their friends, or somebody will say, what does your mom do? And it's much easier to say what dad does, but like, what does mom do? That just hear them say, she's an entrepreneur, she's successful, or she, whatever it is that they say, they do it out of joy and proud and so that's all worth it. And they also know that I'm the first one at the volleyball game, the first one helping out. I'm the first one to run up to the school because God forbid they're going to forget something. I mean, not a lot of moms can do that when you're at a desk, So I think, and I know the older they've gotten, they see all of the rewards that have come out of all the years of hard work.
Do you think that one day they will pursue this career of network marketing?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. Maybe, but we do have conversations a lot of, again, thinking outside the box. Yes and no. I don't think so, but I also think maybe never say never, because again, I was a never say never. Like my older daughter says she wants to go down the nursing route. And so I feel like it's my job to not only explain what that means, explain the hours involved, explain the commitment of that's involved, but also allowing her to like think outside the box of, you don't have to be a nurse in a hospital setting. There are so many alternative ways to think about the nursing pathway that as an entrepreneur, it's our job to think outside the realm. So I don't know that they will. We'll see.
Lastly, for me is like, where do you think network marketing as an industry is going? In what direction? How do you see the future of this industry?
We obviously know it's changing. We are in the thick of it as we speak. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think that, sadly, we're seeing companies take away the aspect of having distributors, what we're called is, social marketers. They're taking that away. And I think it's very sad because we are the ones who built their companies. And so now to take that away and go direct to consumer, it's also a way of the world in terms of what's happening in a down economy and inflation. I think, I don't know if I want to say only the strong will survive, but I kind of think only the strong will survive. I think that you have companies that have built on integrity, on great products, on a culture and a field that hopefully they're never going to go wayside with. I do think that I'm very grateful that I went down the creator influencer route years ago, because we're seeing more of that. And I think it's just going to be changing. I think people have to kind of double down on social media. They've got to double down on how to approach this business, because not everybody wants to be in network marketing or direct sales, but people want to be in affiliate sales. And so if you can go that route, that's much more appealing than trying to sell somebody, which I've never been good at, on the network marketing direct sales world. But if I can convince somebody to talk about a product that you love, just like you love your family, then it's a win-win. You're never going to work a day in your life. And I think that the people that are very box oriented in terms of network marketing, it doesn't seem to be working anymore.
Yeah. So basically, you're telling that the companies who kind of have to introduce this affiliate model next to the network marketing in general, and that's how you see it going.
Yeah, but I also think it's just the way that we're approaching it as distributors. I mean, I got together with a girlfriend the other day, and she's very successful with another company, and they have not evolved with the changing times of just even how to sell their products. I mean, they don't even have to go the affiliate route, but in terms of making it easier for the shopper, putting more control in their hands versus her hands. So, not having to have all of this plethora of product, that's not the way we shop anymore. So I click on something and I buy it and I expect it to be delivered like it just was. The companies have got to like get on sped up with that, because that's the way we're shopping. And it takes money to get to that point. So it's a matter of which companies can invest the money into getting up with those times too.
Awesome. My last question, Erin, for you is where people can find you and connect with you if they would like to.
Well, they can always, I'm a big Facebooker, but also Instagram. So Instagram is A Lopez Lifestyle, Erin Lopez on Facebook. I'm getting better on TikTok, thanks to some very important men in my life. But all the things. I love Instagram, A Lopez Lifestyle. We have our I Decide Darlings podcast, which is such a passion project in itself. So you can go over to iTunes app, anywhere that you go listen to podcasts, come check us out on I Decide Darlings. All the things you can book, everything. Yeah. All the channels.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for being our guest, and thank you for sharing your network marketing journey and your strategy, which is not very, usual going into this. So thank you for sharing it.
A lot of value bombs we had here today.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. Again, I've always tried to be a little bit on the other path. So it seems to have carried over into my business too. So thanks for having me. It's been fun. We got to have some fun conversations.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for being with us, and see you next time.